Our next speaker has extensive experience in investment and advisory for over 15 years. As part of Ernst & Young, he developed India entry strategy for some of the leading global entities and private equity funds. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Amritanshu Roy, COO of Greenfield Advisory.
Sorry, I have been speaking on mute. So thank you, Al. It's amazing to be a part of this esteemed panel of speakers, right? It was such a great learning from Chuan, from Bolivia, and while we are looking into the different aspects of ethics and AI, here comes the business side of it. With the kind of investments that are coming our way, I'll just take you through a small deck of slides that I have prepared. Just give me 1 sec, I'm sharing it. Yeah. Okay, great. So, I have termed it as a responsible investing. Right, and in the overall scheme of things, today AI affords tremendous opportunities. From increasing the efficiencies and improving outcomes to reimagining the complete industry altogether for us. Right, in the last 1 decade, as we have seen that there's a significant increase. Nearly about 14x of our investments, in terms of the active AI startups have increased. 6x of funding has gone into this by most of the venture capitalists. And there is an increasing number of jobs, which requires the AI skills. So, what actually started off as a basic rule-based application design has turned into, has opened a field of business opportunities, and it is impacting every way of our life, whether be it a medical diagnosis or, financial market indices, right? It's impacting every way of our life. And, and it's and it's not going to be over anytime soon, right? If you look at the numbers from one of the leading institutes like McKinsey, right, they have said that by 2030, it's going to add nearly about $13 trillion per year of economic output. So, because of this rising, rising number of investments, right? Significant amount of dollar is now chasing these AI startups, right? And against this backdrop, right? It is very easy for investors to forget that these AI decisions also have a real bearing on people's life, right? And they are raising some of the bigger questions of ethics, trust, legality, responsibility, right? And in this light, we need to have a discussion where how investors are looking into the AI startups and how they are shouldering the responsibility. Coming on this, in fact, this was something that I thought that would be an really interesting data set to be shared with our viewers. That if you see venture capital, venture capital as such, as we discussed, that it is taking a lot of rounds, right? And 91% of the rounds are led by VCs who take a board seat in those. Right, 60% of the founder CEOs who are there, right, they get replaced by the time they come to the Series D, right? And what happens next? Because of these constant shifts, right, the startups who have people who have thought through on these artificial intelligence startups, they have moved out, and there is unintended consequences of these technologies, right? And because of this particular information that I just shared you, it is very important that the VCs who are investing into it, who are sitting on the board for long, right, they understand it, they understand the startups from right from the very beginning, right? And so I have kind of looked it in three stages that most of us, in the investment community, look at how we can intervene in. And those three are at a concept stage, right, at a development stage, and at an execution stage. At a concept stage, we are talking about some of the unethical uses of the AI in and throughout the history, right, several tech innovations have triggered this kind of a debate about ethics and its implementation. Many of us would remember, the debacle that was caused by successful reproduction of the clone of Dolly, the sheep, a decade ago. Right, it had led to questions about the possibility of reproducing the human clone, right, and it triggered both philosophical and practical aspects of it. So while today the reproductive human cloning have calmed down, there is a new debate on human gene editing now, right? And similar things, similar nuance is happening in artificial intelligence, and the ethical issues surrounding it are being questioned, right? Today, in general public's mind, I mean, it remains affected by the scenes of Hollywood. In fact, like, what if the AI turns against us and starts shooting people on the street, right? Those are funnier issues to deal with, but there are, it opens us to all possibilities. And there are more grounded concerns on the ethics of AI which needs to be catered. Something like investment in controversial, but it's a very profitable venture, like fake news or fake deepfakes, where there is a big ethical lapse. Something like what happens in Theranos or Zenfit. We need to, as part of the investment community, we need to be engaging into these kind of questionable practices and questioning them, and make sure that those don't see the light of the day, right? So we have to be very, very cognizant of what kind of startups are coming, and if there is an unethical use, we kind of deal it at the concept stage itself. The next part of it, for us, as we see, is at the model development stage, right, where data today is, it's the new currency, as they say, right, and these data sets are now often proprietary. They require large-scale resources to collect or to purchase, and in many cases, these data belongs to companies who have generated it. They want to keep it private, right? Sometimes these data are coming from something like mobile network operators, internet platforms, or Internet of Things, or other service providers who are collecting them, and most of them are unstructured data. On the other hand, a vast majority of the of these AI startups who make applications for funding, they are based on a category of algorithm, like Chuan kind of showed us a while back. They are based on deep learning algorithms, and these deep learning algorithms are based on patterns in data, right? And if the data is not as per a very structured way, right, then it kind of harms in terms of their overall model. And because of the scarcity of these structured data, right, now computer scientists are sometimes randomly splitting these before training it on one group of data, and validating it on just the other set, which is coming from the same set. And these tests of the performances of the model has the same biases. Thus, it kind of fails and gives us skewed or prejudiced results. So while great strides are being made to have open source and sharing of data sets and transfer of learning technology, right? Most of these algorithms are solutions that we need to see that they are based on some good representative data set. But what we are finding in most of the startups is that they are based on non-representative data sets which are incomplete or unsecure, and they will only harm more than benefit the society as a whole. The next is also incomes. Also I would like to touch one more point on the data set. While data set suitability is one aspect of it, right, the other dimension of it is the appropriate data set acquisition, right? Where are we getting our data set from? The investors, sorry. Yeah, investors have to be vigilant on asking for what kind of a data, where they are acquiring it from, right? The next is the next is with regards to the model, right? Many a times the AI models themselves can create problem. They can deliver biased results, right? Often shorthand our explanation has been blaming the training bias, training data which is there, but in a much more nuanced format, if we see, it can be creeped in while collecting itself, collection of the data or the data preparation. And we have to have a logical flow in which human can understand how these AI models are giving us the outcome. And explanation is one big part of it, right? The data has to explain for itself. The next part of it is with regards to the regulatory compliance. I'll just touch base here that most of the startups are in the regulatory uncertainty zone, and because there is regulatory uncertainty zone, right, there is even more need of ethics surrounding when it is being conceptualized and when we are looking at the data set, right? And this can happen if this doesn't happen, whereas investor community can have their own business commercial sustainability questioned, the impact of those kind of startups is very different. I'll sum up that so while investing in particular at a venture capital level requires a delicate balance of risk tolerance and risk aversion, AI investing is a completely different ballgame. There is an increasing need to ensure that the AI software that we choose to build is built on trust and lays the foundation for a successful scaling by taking the human first approach. Yep. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. We